But I praise God for every opportunity. I praise God through the fact that one of the things I was just talking to Linda about earlier was, and everybody has been hitting me. It's like, John, okay, what's going on with the building? And I tell you so much. My deepest prayer is to go into a location. I mean, I never thought that it meant so much to myself, not to people, but to myself, and you look at that and you're like, okay, God, really, I see you doing things, I see you blessing. You ever just seen God move for you, but then the area you really want him to move, it's like he's not moving? You pray for him, it's like all these other little miracles are happening around you, but it's like, thank you, thank you, thank you. But then there's just like one big miracle. God, you know what, to be honest with you, if you did this one thing, these other little things, you really wouldn't have to worry about it. I can handle it on my own. You ever felt like that sometimes? You ever look at this? It's like when you're working for adults, for those that have jobs. Our simple thing is, God, if you can bless me with a good job, that pays all my bills, I won't have to worry about you handling and paying every bill. But then the thing is, God blesses and keeps us. He'll provide clothing, he'll provide shelter, he'll provide food, he'll provide opportunity, he'll provide everything that you need. But that one thing that we look for and that we go for and we seek God for, it's just like the carrot stick. You ever felt that? Like God just has a carrot stick before you and you're like, okay, God, you got to do something. You got to help. Because I'm tired of going through. I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of holding on, because in the one thing we make the mistake, and we say this, we say it all the time, God, if you gave me this, I wouldn't need the rest. In other words, what we are saying is, and what we pray to God is, we say, God, if you gave me, and if you delivered to me what the one thing I'm praying for you for, I won't need you. And we fail to realize that's the problem. The problem is we're looking for one thing from God to answer all our prayers. But the problem behind that is, with that one thing from God to answer all our prayers, in the back of our mind we're saying, I won't need to lean on you anymore then. I can handle this on my own. I got this. It's like I don't know if any of you ever remember how you learned how to ride a bike. But when you rode a bike, you had training wheels and then, if you had parents that would help you, they would guide you along while you're riding the bike and pedaling to make sure you wouldn't fall. The funny thing about it is, sometimes you were like, I got it. Let me go. I got it. I can do this on my own. I got it. Because once I have it, I don't need you to hold me anymore. But that's how we treat God. And the thing is, we don't understand that God is saying, I will let you go to go ahead and soar once you understand what it takes to persevere and realize that you will always need me. Okay? If we think about the song we just sung this morning, I mean, one of the verses it says, break my heart for what breaks yours. In other words, let me feel what hurts you. Let me know how you feel. Can you imagine asking God asking him to show you what hurts him, and then asking him for you to feel his pain? Have you ever thought about that? Asking God, show me how you feel. There's a person in the Bible, by the name of Hosea, who experienced that, and he went through that. He went through that suffering of feeling God's pain, because a person that he loved and God made him take in, and this woman, his wife, she did everything, and then he ended up getting rid of her, putting her out, and ended up having to buy her back, and God was like, everything you're going through, how she's cheating on you, how she's doing all this to you, did you know that's how you all treat me? This is how you leave me. And I thought about that story, and I thought about everything that goes on within the Bible and every story that it teaches us, and even Christ teaches us perseverance. Perseverance. And we see people all day long, and I say this, those that know me, I don't have to adjust this. This is now getting on my nerves. We go through, and I see people with tags that say too blessed to be stressed. You've seen that, right? I hate those tags. I hate this shirt. I hate this shirt. I hate it all. And I know hate is like such a strong word, right? But I'm gonna tell you why. Because it's a false, and I understand walking in it, you know, speak it, name it, claim it. But I guess from the witnessing aspect of it, if you're going through, don't you really hate to hear somebody go, I'm just too blessed to be, what you stressed out about? I'm just too blessed to be stressed. You're looking at them like, man, get up on my face with that. I'm not trying to hear that, because you can't be that blessed. Matter of fact, I was talking to a pastor yesterday. I said, as a matter of fact, Christ wasn't even that blessed. I remember the Garden of Gethsemane. Christ was stressing. It said that he was sweating tears of blood. He was stressing. He was going through a moment, okay? And we are human, and we'll go through that moment. But what it taught me is that he had to persevere. And the catch is, there is no perseverance without struggle. There is no perseverance. You cannot persevere without struggle. Do you understand that, right? We're taught to persevere. The Word of God teaches us to persevere. I mean, if you want to look at it, let's look at it this way. When I looked up the definition, I was like, God, okay, show me what is this thing about persevere. In persevere, it says steadfastness in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. Steadfast in doing something despite difficulty, that means the struggle, or delay, which means not our timing, in achieving success. So what I gathered from that, you know, and I love it, and it says that the theological version of it is continuance in a state of grace to the end, leading to eternal salvation. Okay, that's the spiritual definition. Is the continuance in a state of grace to the end, leading to eternal salvation. Now, when we think about that, this perseverance to seek God, right? The word says seek God in all his righteousness, right? Now to seek God means you have to chase after, right? We got to be God chasers. And how many of us are really saying that we're God chasers? Raise your hand. I'm serious. How many can truly say you're a God chaser? I mean, I know I'm a God chaser. Okay? Now, to be a God chaser means that, now let me put it to those that don't get it. You know how people wake up every day and they think about money? And they think about how to make money? They're on their grind to make money. Or a kid with a basketball that wants to be an NBA player, he goes to bed with the basketball in his hand. He wakes up with a basketball in his hand. The kid that wanted to play football, he wakes up. I mean, they eat, sleep, drink, think this. My daughter loves cheerleading. She eats, sleeps, drinks cheerleading. You go in her room, you see cheerleading. You look at her, it's cheerleading. Anybody who knows her knows she loves cheerleading. That's what she eats, sleeps, breathes cheerleading, okay? And that's what she does. Well, a God chaser does the same thing. But here's the thing about it. In everything that we chase, we have to persevere. That means that we're running after it. That means that in running after it, it means that it's not the easiest thing in the world. Okay? So if you walk with me and you come with me to the Gospel according to Luke, chapter 8, starting with verse 40. And I know some of you are like, Pastor, you've been in this passage before. I know, but I love it. I love this thing about perseverance. I love this thing to push through. And it says, and it came to pass that when Jesus was returned, the people gladly received him, for they were all waiting for him. And behold, there came a man named Jairus, and he was a ruler of the synagogue, and he fell down at Jesus' feet, and besought him that he would come into his house. For he had one only daughter, about 12 years of age, and she lay a dying. But as he went, the people thronged him. And a woman having an issue of blood 12 years, which had spent all her living upon physicians, neither could be healed of any, came behind him and touched the border of his garment. And immediately her issue of blood staunched, which means it stopped, it ceased. It no longer flowed. And Jesus said, who touched me? When all denied, Peter and they were with him said, Master, the multitude thronged thee and pressed thee, and sayest thou, who touched me? And Jesus said, somebody has touched me, for I perceive that virtue is gone out of me. And when the woman saw that she was not hid, she came trembling and falling down before him. She declared unto him before all the people for what cause she had touched him, and how she was healed immediately. Testimony there. And he said unto her, daughter, be of good comfort, thy faith hath made thee whole, go in peace. While yet, now let's, verse 39, while he yet spake, there cometh one from the ruler of the synagogue's house, saying to him, thy daughter is dead, trouble not the master. But when Jesus heard it, he answered, saying, fear not, believe only, and she shall be made whole. And when he came into the house, he suffered no man to go in, save Peter and James and John and the father and the mother of the maiden. And all wept and bewailed her. But he said, weep not, she is not dead, but sleeping. And they laughed him to scorn, knowing she was dead. And he put them all out, and took her by the hand, and called, saying, maid, arise. Now in some you'll read it says, Talitha Kumi, which means young maiden, arise. And her spirit came again, and she arose straightway, and he commanded to give her meat. And her parents were astonished, but he charged them that they should tell no man what was done. One of the things I love about this passage is that we have seen perseverance happen twice in one city. Now, to give you the backdrop of what happened, he was in the city, he traveled over through the sea, he had just healed the young man who had demons inside of him, and he was in the storm, he went through the storm, all these people had known what Christ would do. Word traveled that he was coming to town. This woman had gone through all this situation. Now, let me drive it home to you. This woman did everything she could do, like we do. Everything we think we can do in our physical body, right? She went to the doctor. She spent all her money with physicians. I look at it like this. She went looking for a job, and she spent all her money, spent all her time doing resumes and resume builder, and got a recruiter, and went to agencies and talked to friends, knocked on doors, picked up the phone, called everything, did everything she could do. I mean, think about it. Every time they woke up, they went here. Every time she was driving here, she was trying to make sure that she could do one thing, and that was get here. We do everything we can do to get a job. We do everything we can do to go to college. We do everything we can do to get what we need from God, don't we? Or from the world, let me say that. And we strive. And some of us are more diligent than others. And here's the thing. This woman didn't make excuses. And the reason I came out of the Gospel of Luke is because Luke was a physician. And one thing about Luke, if you study the Gospels, you'll find that he's more documented in his writings than anybody else. He crosses every T and dots every I. He's that one that's going to be very intricate. To be honest with you, between Luke and Matthew, if you had them on your church planting team, one thing's for sure, you'll never go broke because they're going to make sure the money's right. Okay? Seriously, they're those they're what we call anal retentive people. Okay? Seriously. So these are individuals that look at it for what it is, and we're going to count every bean. So Luke is going to document every single thing that goes on. Now, but in this, what we find out is he's watching this transpire, and he's noticing one thing this woman never did. If you remember the whale, okay? Bethesda pool. Remember that story? That story? And what was the excuse? When the angel comes to trouble the water, no man's here to put me in. Gave an excuse, didn't he? Okay. If you notice, the person that was paralyzed, he says, but I can't walk. I can't do anything. Blind man, I can't see. I don't have anything to see. People can't guide me. They got to guide me. Everybody gave an excuse, but this woman did not. She never gave an excuse. She never gave an excuse of why she couldn't get healed. She never gave an excuse of what she just said. She went through, got healed. And here's the thing: she didn't need Jesus' attention. She didn't need him to bring her down front. She didn't need him to lay hands. Only thing she said is, I can get to the master. And because of that, she was made whole. But she was chasing after. That means that there were, I've always put it this way. If we look at it, it's like the biggest entertainer. I was listening to Kenton Jones on the way here. He has a new CD out. And title's real strange, but I like it though. But one of the guys said that it's a song called Your City. And we used to, and the thing is, just saying, they used to call it my city. You say claim to your city. It says, but it's not my city, it's your city, God. He says that when Jesus comes, he said it's going to be like Kanye walking through crowds. Now, you all know who Kanye West is, Jay-Z, Beyonce. And if you can imagine the crowd that Michael Jackson, Kanye, all those people will bring when people come to town, Christ would surpass all of that. Okay? Because, see, here's the thing. You're pressing forward to get to see an entertainer. But if I told you that Christ is coming, and you press forward just to touch him or see him, everything that you desire will be made so. Because you've heard about him and seen the witnesses of it. You're going to do everything you can to get to him, won't you? I mean, seriously. I mean, and we can look at it in a monetary state. If I was a billion trillionaire, okay, with a T, if I was a trillionaire, and everywhere I went, the first 20 people to come to me, I would give $1 million to. How many people will be around me everywhere I went? Now, watch this. How many people, and how many of them will be pushing their way to get to be that first one? They'll be persevering with me. They'll be pressing through with me. This is how that woman feels. But this is how we should feel. See, you can't persevere if it's easy. People always say the struggle is real. The struggle is real. Why? Because there's no value without struggle. You do understand that, right? I ask people all the time, what is the difference between a person with a doctoral degree and a person who only graduated high school? Literally, what's the difference? 8 years. That's it. They're not smarter than you. Really, they're not smarter than you. They're not. The only thing is they persevered more than you. Okay? That's the difference. What's the difference between being a believer and having eternal life and those that don't and that are destined for damnation? Perseverance. And many of us, even though I said I give out $1 million to every 20 people that I see, there'll still be something saying, man, I ain't gonna do that. What's the point? I ain't gonna make it through. I already got up late. I'm already not gonna make it. You ever met people like that? That no matter what they say, it's like, hey, what's the point, man? Do you know how many people gonna be there? It's gonna be 1 million people, and you still gonna. I'm not gonna waste my time going there trying to press through because I ain't gonna make it anyway. I got other things I can do. I got better things to do with my time. I ain't gonna waste my money like that and waste my time like that. But watch this. My question is, so what you gonna do? Stay home? You gonna stay home? What is that gonna do? Watch this. You stayed home and you made no money. You stayed home, you made no connections. You stayed home, you didn't go anywhere. You profited your life nothing. No way whatsoever, because you were the wicked servant that wanted to take the treasure and bury it in the talents and bury it in the ground because you knew that the master would come for you. Yeah, that was another parable that Christ taught. About my Bible readings, come on, walk with me. I'm just saying. You got to get out there and you got to struggle. You got to hit it. Because I'm going to tell you, there's one of our members, and somebody keep calling me about her, and I don't know why. And I told them to call her, But there was someplace I sent her to go, and she went, and in there she met some people. I don't know what she did, but they keep calling, asking about it, and about a job. And I'm like, if you got it, call her, let her know. But that's not why I sent her to go there. That's why she went. She went for another reason, to make a little bit of money, but came back with people continually asking about, okay, is she hired? Is she ready to work? Does she have a job? And the thing is, it will frustrate me because, you find people that say, well, listen, I like you, I want to hire you. But then it's like, okay, so what you going to do? And they're like, okay, I just want to make sure you still looking for a job. Yeah, I'm looking for a job. Okay, thank you. All right, bye-bye. You're like, okay, really? And then about a month later, they call you, hey, you still looking for that job? Yes, I'm still looking for that job. I'm still looking for a job. Okay, you ready? Okay, I'm going to call you back. I just want to make sure I got you. All right, talk to you later. Bye-bye. Anybody ever been through that before? I know I have. I mean, playing in church it's kind of like that with me. If you ever played in church with Georgia Baptist, I'm gonna tell you got to go through that. I've had church planners come and say, "Man, it's so much paperwork to fill out. It's so much so many hoops they want you to jump through." And my whole thing is, do you want it? The struggle's real. I mean, the thing is, you have to go through. You have to realize that your miracles that are going to come are only going to come where everybody else would have given up through the adversity that faces you. Now understand, adversity doesn't mean that it's going to kill you. It just means that there's another power pressing against you. But that's why the Word of God tells us to push forward towards the mark. And to push means to apply pressure. To apply pressure means there must be resistance. So if there's resistance, that means there must be adversity. If there's adversity, that means there must be some kind of strife. If there's some kind of strife, that means there must be struggle. And so there's a struggle. That means that through all of this, it is real for us to get to where God wants to get to, which is the mark. Am I making sense? So we got to get to a point where we got to persevere. I said in the beginning, my hardest thing is trying to get into a location. That's my hardest thing. I've had people out even this week. Well, Pastor, I got relatives that can find you a building, and so what? I said, I got churches that are open. Why don't you do this and do let me explain something to you. We're not in a building because there's no building in the city of Atlanta that we can go into. Okay? That's not the situation. The situation is God called to plant a church here in East Atlanta. Okay? In this location, in this neighborhood. So we're not leaving and going across town down by 285 or down in Stone Mountain or Lithonia just because there's a building. Because that's not serving the people. We have to understand and do what God said do. See, that's the other thing about another point we got to understand about persevering. Persevering means realizing that the goal or the mark or the treasure that we want will not always come in the way that we believe it will. Okay? Let me give you an example. Because remember I told you the two stories in this one passage that I read. Here's this rich young ruler, Jairus, right? Now, many of you don't hear, I don't talk a lot about Jairus. I said if I had a son, I was going to name him Jair or Jairus. I said I was. I like that. Rich young ruler. Plus it means, God's anointed one who God found favor with. So, in that, I said, here's this man who's a ruler. I mean, he's like the mayor, the governor, however you want to look at it. He's famous. He's big. Okay? And Christ is about to go to his house because his only daughter, his only child, is on her deathbed. Now, I'm a dad of an only daughter. Okay? Do you know how hard that would strike him? I mean, because he has all the power and all the money, but yet he can't do anything to heal her. And the only person he knows is this man called Jesus. That's our situation. It doesn't matter what you have and what you don't have. But it's that one person, Jesus, that can give you what you need, who can solve your problems. Now here it is, and I want you all to, come on, watch me, pay attention. Get inside this mindset, okay? Get inside. I need you all to do one thing about persevering. We got to have a God's eye view, not a bird's eye view, but a God's eye view, okay? Now, in a God's eye view, one of the things you also got to do is understand to have man's eye. Have the word I believe is empathy. Okay, you have to be empathetic and understand what was going on in this situation. Now, what happened? Here's this rich young ruler. He got his crew. He's got his bodyguards. He has all his servants, and they're walking. And Jesus comes off the boat, and everything is going on, and Jesus is on his way to him, right? But then what happens? This woman comes in, and she stops the flow. She touches him. Not only does she stop the flow and touch him, Christ stops doing what he was doing. How many of y'all would have been mad? Your daughter died. Time is the essence. And all of a sudden, here comes Jesus, and he stops. Dude, bro, do you know who I am? I'm the king here. I'm the ruler here. You need to keep on moving. I don't care who touched you. Make your way onto my daughter's house. Many of us would have had that attitude. Some of us would have been cussing and been mad because here's the thing. And if you don't believe me, we do it now. When God doesn't move when we want him to move. What did we read about perseverance? What? In struggle and delay? See, when God is when we feel he's delayed or delaying us, we get mad. And some of us, we get so mad, we're like, forget it. I'm gonna handle it myself. I'm gonna go get the witch doctor. You know? I'm gonna get someone who reads some tarot cards. I'm gonna have somebody sprinkle some stuff on them. I mean, seriously, we do this. I'm gonna give her some drugs. I'm gonna do whatever I can do. Because you didn't value me enough to keep on coming, God. You didn't value me enough to move when I needed you to move. So I'm not valuing you enough. I'm not gonna move when you want me to move because you didn't move when I wanted you to move. But what happened? He didn't do that. He stayed. He was. You don't. And understand, I gave you the background on Luke. If he had gotten upset, Luke would have recorded it. Okay. So that's why I gave you this background. Now, here's the funny thing. So we walk on. Christ stops, has a conversation about who touched me. Peter and everybody else is like, really, Jesus? That's why sometimes sometimes your people around you even get on your nerves. You know, anybody who's going into leadership and pastoralship or that kind of leadership, I'm gonna tell you, the people who are close to you, even though they want to support you, they will still not get you. Don't worry about it. Stop trying to make everybody understand what your vision is. It's okay. Just do what God told you to do. Because they looked at him and got smart with it. Peter's like, what, all these people around here, man, really? And you want to ask us who touched you? Come on, man. Why you want to ask a stupid question like that? And he was like, but my virtue left. I perceived some of his virtue had left. Now, here's another thing. Many of us would have gotten mad then if we had heard the healer said that some of his power was gone. We would have got upset with that, wouldn't we? He's supposed to have his power to heal my child. But now some of his power is gone. So instantaneously, we click into selfish mode and not selfless mode, not rejoicing over the fact that this woman just got healed, just by having faith. But we're selfish because we're thinking about how much is that power going to cut out of what I need. Oh, y'all don't get it that way. Okay. Let me put it to you in this way. There was a parable about the workers. And they were saying that in the man's wage, they agreed to work for a certain amount of money for 5 days. And then the others that came in 2 days later agreed to work for a certain amount of money. And it was the same amount as the man who agreed for 5 days that was going to work for 3 days. Then there were some that came that day, that Friday, and they paid the same wage that they paid the man that was there on that Wednesday, then they paid the one that was on that Monday. So whether you work 5 days, whether you work 3 days, whether you work a day, y'all all got $500. The man who worked 5 days was kind of upset about the one that worked with Friday. How many of y'all would have been upset? Get over yourself. Get over yourself. Why? Because you agreed for that. Didn't you get the blessing you got? You wanted that. When you heard that $500, you were shouting, "Oh, hallelujah! Thank you, Jesus!" You were happy, weren't you? Why are you worried about what this man got? Well, I could have stayed at home and I could have been home chilling for 4 days and still got the same thing. How lazy and slothful thinking is that? That's why God didn't make you do it. Because what you don't know is that person who got it on that for that 1 day, you don't know he could have been beating the streets for 5 days. While you out here just working a job, he out there working and beating the streets and trying to make it happen and people not paying him. Okay? But he persevered. Okay? He kept it going. You got to persevere. Someone actually says, well, Pastor, what do you look for with a church plant? What you want people to do? I said, you know what I would love? I would love for people to call me up and say, Pastor, listen, I ain't doing nothing, but I'm about to go into the community. And we got any flyers, any tracts, and I just want to go out and I'm just going to talk to some people and hand out some tracts and just share them. I'm not going to preach to them, Pastor. I'm just going to love on them. Not ask me for gas money, not ask me for food, not ask me for anything. Just go out and do it. Do you know honestly, that would mean so much to me. Not because you're doing it for me, but because in my mind it says, you got it. That's what church planners do. That's what pastors do. We go out every day. That's what missionaries do every day. And here's the funny thing about missionaries. I'm glad I let this here. the irony, the funny thing about missionaries is this. People talk about missionaries and they talk about, yeah, I wish I could do that. I want to do that. I'd love to do missionary work. And they look at all the work that missionaries do. But y'all don't know. Did you know it costs to be a missionary? Am I lying? People, a lot of these people that you see that are traveling doing missionary work, they're paying money to go and do that. Or either they're fundraising and getting sponsors and getting people to help them do that. The struggle is real. Service comes with a cost. Service comes with the cost. Everything you do, you got to invest in. Okay? Any multimillionaire will tell you they invested money, and some of them, everything they owned to get to where they were. Some of them they invested their lives, their finances, and some of them even their families. I'm just saying, some of them even their health. And the only thing we want to talk about how we don't even want to invest the time to get up and get outside. I know people that walk 15 miles just to try to find a job. 15 miles just to go ahead. I'm gonna walk all the way from Decatur to Atlanta just to preach the gospel to somebody. You know how hard it is to sit back and try to plan a church when you have 3 people show up sometimes, and 5 people show up sometimes, and then you can go to another church and minister and preach for. And I'm saying this to be honest. I can go to another church and preach for 150, 200, 300, 1,500 people. And guess what happened? They'll praise and they'll love and they'll bless me and they'll give gifts and they'll say, Pastor, we love you. And then I come back home and I preach for 3 people and they look at me like this. But you know what? The whole thing is about perseverance. It's not about those people that over there or the people that's here. It's about my diligence to God and my service. See, what happens is, and I don't let people tell me that it's over. And I don't let situations tell me that it's over. Because what happened? They came and told Jairus, they said, don't trouble the master anymore, your daughter's dead. Some of y'all would have turned up then. That means y'all would have got hot. Flipped over tables, cussed everybody out. Why? Because your daughter's dead. And she probably wouldn't have been dead had you not been walking around talking about who touched me. Really? You spent all this time on who touched me? And then you'd have been looking for that woman. Because watch this. He was a ruler, right? So he had the power to go find this woman, grab her, and execute her. Because he had that power. Okay? He had the power to throw her in prison. How many of us would have thought about revenge? You never thought about that side of the story, did you? But what did he do? Christ is like, come on. He didn't argue with Christ. He just said, he walked on to many of us are like, man, I don't know why. It's over there. It don't matter. Why you want to come to my house and she dead? Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just go on about you. Go on, do what you're going to do. Let somebody else touch the hem of your garment. Go on, take the whole garment off for all I care. It don't mean nothing to me. But I know everybody finna go down there. Everybody who was in this crowd that held him up, I'm taxing all of you. And here's the thing. We can't get our blessings and our healings and what God wants from us because we're so busy being angry because God doesn't move the way we want him to move. Okay? We expect, if you don't believe me, how many of y'all have done favors for a friend? Raise your hand. How many of y'all going back to that same friend and asked for a favor and they said no? How did that make you feel? Kind of bothered some of you, didn't it? You're like, man, see, that's why I don't do nothing for nobody. But then watch this. How many of y'all had somebody who came and did something for you and you weren't expecting to come from him? That's where that seed went. See, the funny thing about seeds is the one you think is really going to be the one may not always be it. But stop worrying about where you think it should come from and be happy and glorified on the fact that it's coming. You understand? Pastor, why do you tell me to go ahead and be faithful in the kingdom when I need to do this? Because that's where the seed comes. That's where the seed goes. That's God. God can make anything happen. You know? So, they travel on to Jairus' house, and in there, they realize this one thing. Christ is there, he sees this. He says, okay, I realize all y'all can't go with me. Everybody can't go everywhere with you. Remember that. I don't care how close they are, how much you love them. I teach this all the time. Okay? Everybody can't breathe at your altitude. The higher you go, the air gets thinner, and it's harder to breathe. You do know that, right? That's why when you see people climbing mountains, they have oxygen tanks. And there's some people who just can't breathe at certain altitudes. And it's not that they're not good or they're bad people. They just weren't conditioned for it. And then some of us, we have to be trained to breathe at certain altitudes. That's why we feel like we're getting suffocated in certain areas. That's really why. You ever go through you feel like you just can't take it anymore? Because God is training you. But see, some of us, we quit the training. We get mad and we walk away. When I was in the military, I used to hold ice in one hand and stick another hand in the fire. Yes, I know it sounds crazy. But why did I do it? Why? Because it taught me something. That I got to learn how to persevere. I was watching a movie with my godson the other day, Finding Nemo. Y'all ever seen Finding Nemo? One of the things that I remember, and it brought tears to my eyes when I was watching it, I love Dory. Because Dory said something that kept me, that she was the perfect example of perseverance. Anybody remember her phrase always was when she first met Marlon? Say it again.
Just keep swimming.
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 Just keep swimming. Understand, no matter what is going on in your life, you gotta keep swimming. And I know you're like, Pastor, why are you getting caught up on a kid's movie? Because when I was watching it, I watched how they went into darkness where they couldn't see anything. And she still said, just keep swimming. And one of the things I love that I learned from that was her defect was the greatest thing about her. Her defect was that she couldn't remember things. Wouldn't it be awesome if we couldn't remember the things that hurt us? But the reason we can't be that way because we're still trying to hold on to them. She didn't try to hold on to anything. She just lived life in the now. And then when she got it, and if you notice throughout the movie, when she found a purpose, her memory continued. But the bad things never sought in her life. And I was watching at the same time she was teaching Marlon how to just keep swimming. Just keep going. I know you can't see. Keep going. I know there's a shark trying to kill you. Keep going. I know there's a fish trying to that you thought was light was actually something trying to and I love that part, but there was a fish that had the light and it was used to make them funny and make them feel good, increase their endorphins, and all warm and fuzzy. Satan does it. He gives us false light, false security, and makes us feel warm and comfortable. And he's like, you don't understand. I'm just making you this way so I can devour you. Because you look at it and feel like this is the comfort. Hey, Pastor, nah, I got this. This is good. This is good. I feel good. I'm good. It's working for me. No, that's not God. That's a distraction. Getting you comfortable to destroy you. But at the same time she was going through that, Nemo, I saw him, he got stuck in the fish tank. And he got stuck in the little purifier thing. And you know, the scar when he came out, and they was trying to help him. He said, don't help him. Many of y'all would have got mad when somebody said, God doesn't believe you can't get help. And I'm sure Jared's going to feel that way. He couldn't get help. Nemo was stuck in his tube, and he had people around there watching. How many of y'all have been in a situation and you're struggling, and your friends that are watching you, people are watching you, and nobody's looking your hand? Makes you mad, doesn't it? But one thing that happened, he told him, he said, listen, he said, use what you have. And the first thing Nemo said, I have a bad fin. I got a little fin. I can't do what everybody else does. And we do that same thing. I don't have what you have, Jéan. I don't have this. I didn't have that. I grew up defective. I don't have what you got. I can't do it. And he looked at him. I don't care. Just move your fin, twist, and push. Move your fin, twist, and push. And what did he do? he got out. But that was the thing was, it was preparation for what was going to happen later on for his freedom in life. And he learned how to be excellent. But he went through it. He was training. The reason that we go through now and we can't breathe and we're suffocating is the training. The reason that God has your friends look at you like this while you're suffering, because he says, I don't need you depending on them. I don't need you depending on the church. I don't need you depending on your parents. I need you to depend on me. That which I put inside of you. You're deformed, right? You got a defect, right? I gave you that for a reason. But you'll never know until you push and keep swimming. You keep pressing. You keep persevering. And we don't want to do that because we get mad because it ain't easy. Because we want to look at it our way. We don't want to get a God's eye view. Think about it. One of the worst things I went through in basic training, and I went airborne, and I fought in Panama, and I fought in Desert Shield. One of the worst things I went through was when I had to go into the gas chamber. Okay? Now, Tina, she probably, you know about that. Oh, nah, I got punched in the gut. I got punched in the gut because I'm a thinker. And my whole troop, my whole platoon, we were the smart butts, if you understand. We were the ones that we knew how to finagle and make everything work. As a matter of fact, they had us on the accelerated boot camp. Okay, we were where I think everybody was at 8 weeks. They did us in 6. Okay, they literally, we had to cram everything in. And I remember we went through there and I saw guys going through and guys came up, man, that wasn't nothing, man, that wasn't anything, that wasn't this, that wasn't that. I was like, oh, okay, all right, I can do this. So he said, listen, they're going to have you go in there and they're going to have you take off your mask and they're going to have you give like your last 4, your name and your rank, and that's about it. And then you don't. I was like, what? I'm a swimmer, I'm a lifeguard. I can hold my breath for at least a good 60 to 2 minutes. I'm good. You know, I'm 16, 17 years old. I'm fresh, I'm young, I'm gung-ho. I get in there, and I'm a little bit too gung-ho. Ward! Ward, PFC, 7919, Drill Sergeant! So I thought they should be telling me to get ready to go, right? He looked at me. I didn't ask you anything. You told me to move my man. That's it, my mic told me to go, He went on past me. Everybody else went. He came back, looked at me again. Now, it's about 15-year-old in at a time, about 15 at a time, right? They've gone past this. I'm still in. I see them get ready to open the door and send another group in. He turned around, looked at me, punched me in my belly. He says, now inhale. I had to inhale all that inside of me. Okay? And then he said, where are you from? Not my name. Where did you graduate high school? Why are you here? And in my mind, I'm thinking, this is not what you're supposed to be asking me. But instantaneously, I realized it wasn't about what I thought. It was about what he wanted. And I gave him the answer, and I walked out, my insides. And if you go through it, I was burning, my skin was on fire, my inside was on fire. And then you go straight from there, and you go to grenade training. Okay? You have to dig a foxhole. Y'all know what a foxhole is? Okay. So, once again, you know, those that know me, I overdo everything I do. I do it big. Sometimes a little bit, I make, as my DOM says, I make a simple thing complicated. But it's good. Y'all might want a 5-foot stage. I'm going to give you a 35-foot stage. But it's going to be good. You know? But I dig a foxhole, and a foxhole, correct me if I'm wrong, it's supposed to be like a 4x3, is it? Oh, y'all didn't dig a foxhole? Oh, okay. I dig a foxhole. I think it's supposed to be like 4x3 or something like 4x4. You know, just enough for you to dig down 4 feet for you and another person, and stand up and have your rifle, your weapon, to be able to arm out and shoot. Now, I dug mine a little bit deeper because I actually dug it deeper and then I dug out a chair. So for us to sit down, because when I want to rest, I can actually squat and sit down where everybody. Okay, and on top of that, I dug out little stairs. I dug out little holes to put my feet in to climb up out of it, right? But in doing this, you got to understand you have to go a little bit deeper to make that happen. Because and the thing is, I didn't want to be squatting all down all day like this in the foxhole. I want to be able to rise up a little bit, so it was a little deeper. I did that. Drill sergeant came by, and what they would do is they would throw a grenade, okay, and you'd have to get the grenade or whatever. He actually cooked off a grenade, and instead of throwing it by us for us to duck inside and see how we handle it, he throws it into the foxhole. But understand, I said he cooked it off. Now, for those that don't know what cook off a grenade is, that means that you have to know the cooking time. When you pull the pin, pop the lever, you got 1,000, 2 1,000. Some are 5 seconds, some are 10 seconds. Okay? But to cook a grenade means you pop it, you're holding it. So therefore, when you let it go, it's going to explode right where you want it to go. So that person doesn't have enough time to get it and throw it somewhere else. It's called live cooking a grenade. So he cooked the grenade, threw it in there. It was like an 8-second grenade. He cooked it for 4 seconds. Would you believe I got him out that foxhole so quick? And the thing was, it taught me something. He says, you need to be prepared for whatever comes your way. You need to do it the way we said do it, regardless of how you think it should be. When I was in Panama, I had our paratrooper down. I dug the foxhole, but I knew how deep to dig the foxhole. And I understood how to cook grenades. I understood how to move. I understood everything, and it prepared me for real-time war. When I was in Saudi and there was a storm, it taught me the same thing. I remembered that lesson. I remember